What you're looking at here is monofilament fishing line, which is on a line testing machine. We want to see how strong it is, so I'm going to push the button. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 12.9 pound test this line is testing out at right now. We're going to tie some knots in this line and show you how that affects the strength in just a moment, because it's Thursday night and time for Michigan Outdoors.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, it's history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around again, in all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan.
Well, our fishing line expert, Bob Knopf. Bob, welcome. He came all the way from Spirit Lake, Iowa, from the Berkeley Line Company. They make monofilament fishing line. And of course, anglers don't really know that much about line, and knots especially. Which is more important, the line or the knot?
They're both important, but the knot can really weaken your line, and most people aren't aware of it.
Well, as we have on the machine here, there's a little knot, just an overhand knot. A lot of you fishermen have experienced this in the end of your line, just like that. What does a little knot like this in your line do? Does it make any difference? Well, let's see. Let's zero the counter here, Bob, and take us down to...
Most people aren't aware, but a little knot like that overhand knot can cut their line strength by about 40% sometimes.
Well, let's see. Remember, this broke at 12.9. We're up to 6.61. Well, that's about half the strength. Mm-hmm. A simple overhand knot in your line like that can affect it, knock the strength down by half. That means you're only fishing with 6-pound test when you thought you had almost 13. Well, that brings up the subject of knots. What knots are good and what knots aren't? All of you have heard about the clinch knot. I'm going to show you right here how to tie it. This is what most anglers tie. Now, if you're in a hurry, you take the line and maybe wrap it around, say 3 times and up through the loop. Now, this is what you probably thought was the best knot to use with monofilament fishing line. Bob, what's the problem with the clinch knot?
The problem with this is that can slip out. If you only use 3 wraps, like if you caught a fish and you want to get back in the water quick, it usually pops right out.
Okay, well, we'll push the button on the machine and see what we get here.
It's slipping out now.
Okay, we can see right up here the line is slipping, so this won't break at all. That pulled right out, 2.90, about 3 pounds. This is what frequently happens with a clinch knot. So, what you have to do to make that clinch knot stronger is tie more wraps with it. Instead of 3 times around, we'll go around, what do you recommend?
6 would be a big improvement.
6.
You should get a couple extra pounds by doing that. Okay. But it's not a real consistent knot. It can slip out even with 6 wraps.
Okay, well, let's try it here. We have the machine here, which, remember, that was 2.9. We'll zero it again. There we go. That's pretty close. Now, this is with 6 wraps. The clinch knot was 6 wraps. Well, we're up to... Now, that pulled out again, but we got 7.8 pounds of strength on that. Remember, we're talking line that breaks at almost 13 pounds. Mm-hmm. So right there, the knot is, well, that's about 60%. Right. That's about what the clinch knot tests out.
Yeah, it does that fairly consistent. You can almost guarantee it'll pull out when you put a lot of force on it.
Well, there's a knot that you've probably heard about, read about in the fishing magazines, called the trilene knot, and they say it has about 90% strength.
It's the knot in our studies. We've tied hundreds of knots every year, and it's the knot that we've found to be the strongest. You simply take your line through the hook eye twice, and that acts as a cushioning on the line. You make your wraps just like you do in the standard fisherman's knot, about 4 to 6 times, and then you take the end and go back through both loops. And when you pull it up, then you pull it down nice and snug.
That's called the trilene knot. We'll take it back down here. Okay, Bob, this line just straight broke at 12.9. Oh, we got 11.43. Right. That's about 90% right there.
Right. Your goal is to have it break above the listed strength on the label.
Of course, if you have it break above the listed strength, you've got one heck of a knot. Well, this is the trilene knot. If you didn't catch how to tie this, we have a little card that can show you how to tie the trilene knot. Just write to us here. We'll have the address coming up later in the show. We'll send this to you, and you can tie a knot Almost every time, that's 90% the line strength, the best knot you can get. Well, Bob, come on back next week and give us some tips
All right, will
on
do.
tying. There's some more tips, things that you should know. Right now, let's go to our weekly trophy report. Last Friday, I set out of South Haven at 7 in the morning with a good crew of fishermen: Bob Garner, legislative aide to the House Conservation Committee, Ray Jarno from the Highway Department, and Ray Underwood, director of the Michigan Boating Industries Association, all of us on the boat of Captain Emil Dean. We headed out into the fog, which lasted all day, fished in 120 feet of water, about 30 feet down, expecting to catch mainly Chinook salmon. However, during the morning, we came up with a nice limit of lake trout, the largest about 12 pounds. These lakers hit on locos and KC spoons and gave us a morning of fairly consistent action, so we could report back to the dock with smiles on our faces, and believe it or not, you can get sunburned right through the overcast and fog. We did pick up 7 Chinooks, most of them running small, but I was lucky enough to catch the big one, about 10 pounds. Chinooks like this have been hitting fast and furious off South Haven. If we didn't stick with the Lakers, we could have gone in shallower water and picked up more kings like this, but it was a great day any way you look at it. I got a letter not long ago from Rachel Maurer from Wakarusa, Indiana. Said she and her husband accidentally stumbled across Michigan outdoors last winter during a snowstorm and have been watching it ever since. Sent me a batch of pictures like this one of her 9-pound, 2-ounce northern pike. The family vacations in southern Michigan around Jones, where they fished for 2 weeks, pulling pike like this out of the rivers. Daughter Teresa with her 12-pound, 3-ounce northern. Lee Maurer caught this 12-pound, 7-ouncer last year, 38 inches long. And here's their son Daryl with the limit of pike, the largest 13 pounds. Rachel wrote that they pick up quite a few limits like this on their Michigan vacations, but last year Lee Maurer came up for the opening of bass season. On Wood Lake near Jones, he caught his limit on opening day, including this 7-pound largemouth. The Maurer family says they've enjoyed the state of Michigan, its beauty and excellent fishing. They'd like to continue fishing here for years to come. Well, I hope they can. They're making use of our fishery resources, and for that, we'll make the Maurer family from Wakarusa, Indiana, our trophy anglers of the week. For those of you who are tired of catching those big trophy fish every weekend, we have a suggestion for you. Jerry Moran, thanks for coming down. The people outstate have seen you before. About a month ago, we had you on the show when we did a feature on handgun silhouette shooting, but our Detroit friends, unfortunately, due to the Channel 56 auction, didn't get to see this, so we're going to rerun part of it right now and tell you people about the Great Lakes Handgun Metallic Silhouette Association.
Correct.
Quite a mouthful. Well, obviously, we're talking handguns, pistols, revolvers. Jerry, this is what we used to shoot at the silhouettes. These revolvers, though, don't get the idea they're anything close to the Saturday Night Special variety. This, for example, is what, a Thompson Center
Single shot, right?
single shot pistol, and it's used really for target. Now, where's the...
That's
this
the cartridge.
Shoots a cartridge, which you might think of as being a big game cartridge, a high-powered
Exactly,
rifle
right.
cartridge.
223 case, blown out to 7mm.
Okay, so a number of the people who shoot use this, and of course we have the old standby revolvers like this one here,
Ruger 44.
Ruger 44, open it up right there. Now this shoots a good-sized revolver shell. This is the type that, the Dirty Harry in movies uses, but this is a very effective big bore gun. When we're talking big bore, we're talking about shooting at silhouettes this size right here. Look at this. This is a ram which weighs
51 pounds.
51 pounds. These set up on a track. There are 5 of them, and when a big bore bullet hits this, you have to hit it fairly high.
Yes, you do. Low belly hits, it won't go.
Okay, so
May not go.
shooting at these targets like a shooting gallery, and you hear that thing go bing and fall over. How far away is this ram set up?
200 yards for ranges that don't have facility for 200 meters.
200 meters. That's
Right.
2 football fields away shooting a handgun? Oh, that's something. If you have a .22 revolver that just shoots the small caliber .22, you can
Or
shoot...
automatic.
Or automatic. You can shoot at these silhouettes.
Right.
How far away are the .22 silhouettes set
Well,
up?
we start out with 25 yards for the chickens, and then over the pig over there is 50, and with the turkey that you have there in your left hand, that's 75, and the ram here is at 100.
100 yards. Shooting a pistol at 100 yards is really a test of skill. Now, Jerry, I think the appeal for handgun silhouette shooting, the reason it's just mushrooming in popularity is that, well, it's like a shooting gallery.
Exactly.
Like at the carnival, you see something fall over when you hit it
Instantly.
instantly,
Instant
and
gratification.
right. And well, for people who like the video pinball type games, asteroids and those shooting games, I think they could really get into this.
Possibly, that's true.
Okay, well, let's go out to the range right now, and we'll be talking this through a little bit about what it's like to go out and shoot handgun for metallic silhouettes.
Stage 2, you've got 30 seconds.
Okay.
And, then
And
we've
here
got
I am,
2
Jerry,
minutes once he
receiving
says
some
fire
instruction
again to
from
shoot
Lynn
at the next
Hotelling.
5.
You know, a great thing that I found about this silhouette shooting is it's a fairly new sport, and the people who are out there shooting love to have new
And
recruits.
you can get down
Oh,
in
most
position.
definitely. We always like new shooters, because if you don't have new shooters, the growth of whatever association you're in kind of falls
Yep,
off.
and the barrel's out in
There I'm getting instruction. I'm using what's called the Creedmoor position. I'd never seen this before.
Very steady.
Look at it.
The thing is, you can't use any tripods or rest the gun on the ground or any place else. You have to hold it in your hand.
That's
Ooh,
correct.
just under
That makes it a lot of
Why
fun.
is it that you choose this big bore pistol shooting rather than some other type of sport?
I guess it's the little kid in everybody who likes to see something happen. When the gun goes off in silhouette, do you see the target go down immediately, or it's a miss? It's when the gun goes off, you know right then and there whether you've hit the target or not.
Have you shot the regular paper targets before?
Yeah, I shot a little bit of paper target, but I didn't get much enjoyment out of it.
your time and get a good sight-in picture on it. And just relax. There you go. Fantastic.
I'm in the hang of it now.
A lot of it is concentration. You got to be smooth. Take a good, clear picture on it.
How long have you been shooting?
I've been shooting for, I would say, 2 to 3 years.
Pretty
I
enthusiastic.
started on 22s first, and then I decided I wanted to go to the big bore, and I got hooked on the big bore. Now I really like the big bore.
Now the whole family shoots, eh?
Yep.
That's great.
Now watch, right up in the upper left,
Right, Ram, 200.
200 yards. That's some shooting. Because you're spotting right now, and every shooter has a spotter.
Okay, leg body.
Tell you whether you shot high or low,
Exactly.
off to the side.
Elevation's a little low, but your windage is excellent.
Spotters and shooters really busy out there.
Yes, that gives a
But you're
confidence of the shooter so that he can shoot a little better.
I'm letting him know where his shots are going. And if he's hitting them, where on the animal he's hitting them. So he knows if his sights are high or low, or if his windage should be changed.
What do you enjoy doing more, spotting or shooting?
Shooting.
Oh, yeah. Spotting used to be kind of fun, though.
Yeah, it is, but it's kind of nice to shoot. It's just
But women aren't supposed to shoot, though. I mean, they're not supposed to light guns.
so smooth.
I don't know. You've heard this, though.
Oh, yes, I've heard it. But look, there's a lot of women out here that are shooting, and they're doing a lot better than the men in a lot of categories, too.
Now, when you were a little girl, what did you think about guns?
I was never allowed to say the word gun in the house.
Really?
I never touched a gun until I married my husband.
Okay, now once you don't put your finger on the trigger yet, press this button and it'll put one in the chamber.
Now, here's an example of somebody who hasn't shot before, came out on the range,
The
and
first one on the second
Lynn is
shot.
eagerly helping her
Okay.
learn how to shoot.
And that's quite common.
She's shooting a 22 here at the chickens.
Oh, hair over the back.
25
Okay,
yards.
the second
Okay, you
one on
get
the second side.
about 2 minutes to shoot at the 5 targets, so you can take your
What am I
time.
doing?
Right, a lot of time.
Yeah, try
minutes is a
to
long
next
time.
that same pattern you had on the first ones. You're on the third one, on the second 5.
What's the secret to accurate pistol shooting?
Concentration, I think, more than anything. Just you go out there and you look at your target and you block everything else out and just concentrate. That's all you think about.
What is it that hooked you on the sport?
Doing it once. I was very much anti-gun, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes, very
come?
much. I was just always raised that way. My parents never had guns around and my mother was afraid of them. And I came out and tried it and thought, gee, that's kind of fun.
How did you do?
I did great.
So is this your first time shooting?
Yes. I've never even held on to a gun.
Well, what's your score so far?
Well, I got 4 out of 5.
Whoa. You kind of like this sport, do you?
Yeah, it's fun.
That's good. Well, here you are, the women's champ, coming from a real anti-gun attitude a few years ago.
Yes, a year and a half ago, actually.
So what do you think about guns now and gun control?
I think we do need control, but I think we need more control of the criminals than we do the guns.
Of course, that pad right now, people might wonder what that is. That's used when you're shooting a revolver.
That's correct. That's a ballistic material, same type of used for the body armor that they make, that policemen wear.
Now, here I go, Jerry. You're going to see over my knee, I'm going to pop that middle pig.
Good shot, front shoulder.
I can't really describe the exhilaration when you see those things fall one by one. Gun control is being able to hit all of your targets. Well, I should be so lucky to get 40 out of 40 someday. But I tell you, this is a lot of fun, a great sport. Now, just to explain, you have 40 targets that are shot at.
Exactly.
10 of them at 50, 100, 150, and 200 meters.
Right.
With 2 minutes to shoot at 5, 2 minutes to shoot at another 5.
Exactly.
People who are concerned about coming out to one of these shoots, and they might be concerned because of the danger, all the negative things they've heard about handguns. What do you have to say about that?
Well, we're safety oriented. First of all, safety glasses are required. We have line safety officers that require that you have safety glasses and ear protection. We don't allow anyone behind the line of fire that isn't either the spotter or the shooter. The spotters must be behind the shooter.
And it's strictly regulated as far as when to load the guns.
That's correct.
They always have to be pointed towards the range or down at the ground. Believe me, I've been out shooting a couple times, enjoyed it, and really enjoyed the safety part of it. I mean, it's just a good feeling knowing that everyone is so safety conscious. But let's talk for a minute about ear protection. They have these little earplugs you can put in your ears. Cotton doesn't really do the job.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
And these, what does a pair of earmuffs like this cost?
They start at about $12 and run anything to $30. Just depends on what type that you like.
Pardon?
Right.
Oh,
those
honestly,
are very comfortable.
Honestly, you can hardly hear anything through these, but they have found that people who shoot a lot have, just like kids who play rock music in loud discos,
Exactly.
have ear damage.
Exactly.
And it is a problem in shooting, but these are required. If you don't have this, you can always borrow them. Let's talk just a second here in our time left. Jerry, look at this handgun here. You're going to find some people out on the range who have these. Actually, like a rifle, shoots a 308 cartridge.
Full-length 308, right.
Or sized down. Sometimes they size them down. They do a lot of their own reloading, save money.
Exactly.
Shoot loads that are a little lighter so they don't kick quite as much. But all of these types of guns, 22s, big bore handguns, pistols, you'll find out at the handgun silhouette shoots. We have a schedule here of the silhouette shoots around the state. Every weekend there are 2 of them. And if you write to us here at Michigan Outdoors, the address will be coming up in just a minute. We'll send you the latest newsletter and information booklet on how this sport works and how you can get into it. Well, thank you very much, Jerry.
Well, thank you for having us. There's one little thing before I leave. We had a shoot over the weekend, big bore. They were shooting at a bowling pin at 100 meters. It was quite large. It weighed 215 pounds for those that wondered, with 458 and 375 caliber. And we collected $100.
$100 as a benefit for our show?
That's correct. That's correct.
Jerry, you're my good buddy. Thanks to all you silhouette shooters out there. Well, we have you first up on the outdoor calendar. Ed Groves, why don't you give us the outdoor calendar or what's coming up for the next few weeks? Bob, right now, if people want to go out and photograph baby deer, we didn't have any, they're being dropped right now by the does, and let's go up to the Houghton Lake Deer Research Station with John Nellist and look for some.
So where are they, John?
Okay, one was here about an hour ago, but she's gone now.
How old are these?
These were just born sometime last night.
Can they get up and move that much?
Yeah, they're on their feet and within minutes after birth. However, they usually don't go very far for the first couple weeks. They stay in a pretty small area.
Like how small?
Oh, probably an acre or so. These things can hide real well. Sometimes you can walk right by them without seeing them. They don't need a lot of cover to hide in either.
They tend to be under a tree probably, or?
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes they'll be right out in the open. Wherever these, I don't know where they went.
But there are 2 of them.
Yeah, let's go and look over by these trees here.
Are they going to be together?
No, sometimes they might be, but ordinarily they might be spread apart. They were about 150 feet apart this morning when I came in here and saw them.
Well, we don't see them yet. Now, the mother's pretty nervous. Is there any chance that she'd sort of get teed off at us and come our way?
Well, sometimes they get a little hostile, but ordinarily they'll keep their distance.
Well,
let's go and look over in here again. They might be laying in this brush here.
Well, we finally did find the fawns, but they weren't in the cage with the doe. These fawns are only about 12 hours old. There were 2 of them. One was in a clump of pine, and the other was under a pine tree about 50 yards away. Cute little things, and we went in to pick one up and find out, what these fawns are like. at this tender young age.
This one get back to its mama. Yep, now it's going to come alive.
Well, there it is. Just, how old do you suppose it is?
It's probably about 12 hours old at the most.
What a cutie.
You see those nostrils going.
Yeah, look at how they're shaped when they fly. Supposedly they breathe in through the front of the nostrils and blow out through the back.
Right. They, usually that's the only thing moving on them at this age when you approach them. It's their nose. Their old heart's going a mile a minute. You can see the hoofs are, when they're first born, they're soft and whitish color. And within a few hours they start to harden and then they'll turn black. You can see they're still white on these, so you know they aren't that old.
The turning to dark here is what it's starting to do right now.
Right. And then it's hardening too.
Not a lot of meat on these little bones.
No, this one here would probably weigh about 7 pounds. That's about average.
And this is a twin.
Right.
So if it was some of the singles you've had born weigh...
Yeah, we had, some of the singles weighed over almost 10 pounds this year.
Well, a lot of people would love to do this. You know, they see a fawn in the wild, they just can't keep their hands off it.
Yeah, this has always been a problem for us, and people find the fawn in the wild and assume that the doe has abandoned it, and which isn't the case. Usually she's close by or waiting for people to leave before she comes back after the fawn, and people will think that the doe has left it, and they'll either take it home or bring it into the DNR, and it's always a problem for us. These have to be raised by hand. They lose their fear of man. You can't turn them back loose very often. They don't make it on their own, and a lot of people, if they don't bring them in to us, they'll try to take them home and raise them themselves. A lot of times they'll end up dying because the people don't know what the best food for them is.
Well, people wonder, where is the mother deer?
Well, she's close by. She might be off feeding, but she'll leave the fawns in one area and go off feeding, and she doesn't stay right next to the fawns all the time. She will try to attract danger away from the fawns, but she'll come back when it's feeding time, and she knows where they're at, and it isn't like... The only time a fawn should be picked up is if the doe was killed by a car and she was laying there dead or something then. But any other time if you find a fawn, just because you don't see the doe around, it doesn't mean she's not there. She's around somewhere. So she'll come
people
back.
Sometimes say, yeah, but I came back 2 or 3 hours later and the fawn was still there.
Well, she might be gone for 2 or 3 hours.
Especially if you're in the area. She's not going to come back.
She isn't going to come back as long as there's any people around her.
Sometimes she might be sitting 100 yards away keeping an eye on you.
Yeah.
Well, moral of the story is leave these little critters be.
Yeah.
Well, they are cute little fellas, and they're out right now. The does are dropping the fawns, but really, please don't pick them up. We're doing this at the Houghton Lake Deer Research Station for scientific purposes. Join us next week on Michigan Outdoors. We're going to take these two 12-hour-old fawns and show you how they're prepared for their life at the Deer Research Station. So be sure you leave those baby deer alone when you're out mushroom hunting. And by the way, this will be about the last weekend for the white morels. Bass are going strong, so enjoy yourself this weekend in Michigan Outdoors.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, its history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around again, and all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. Sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can, it tells you of the beauty in the state of Michigan.